Hi, beautiful beings. Mel here. And here I am for another wellness yap. I'm going to call it because I know that sometimes I get off topic. These wellness talks come from just things that I experience myself and then I want to share with others. I think like, oh my gosh, this is something that I can share with people because I know that I'm not the only one going through it. So, this came from my journaling this morning. So, this morning's morning light was what will feel supportive for me today. So, if some of you may know, I have been away from home and now I'm back home. See the background, so different than where I was. Back in New York, it's very noisy. It's just totally different, fast paced. Even my surrounding in my own apartment is different. Apartment, house, space, no space. I have all this stuff in my background. So it's just different for me after being away for so long. And I'm totally still adjusting. Knowing myself and knowing how I am, um, I've realized that transitions is like a big thing for me as an adult. And sometimes I have to remind myself that because I start getting into that mind thing of, oh, why am I like this? Why is this happening? Why am I not doing what I should be doing? I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And that doesn't really help me. So being aware that I feel tired, I feel overwhelmed, that I am just facing this challenge of transitioning back to my normal life. It's a good thing, right? Because instead of me putting myself down and criticizing myself for not doing enough, it just kind of allows me to pick it up in a different way, to work with myself instead of against myself. So as I always think, right, this is something that is not me, the only person that's going through this, and I really love just sharing different ideas. And I like looking into it further besides my own thoughts. Um, so yeah, the thing was here, which I know that I sound like a broken record, but it's reminding ourselves that instead of or before we start like adding things onto our plate, like this needs to be done, this needs to be done, my list, my forever list, I have a lot of lists, okay? But before we start doing those things, we really need to breathe and just like be with ourselves, connect with ourselves, and ask ourselves, what do we really need? And sometimes that is hard to tell, in the moment, because sometimes our mind could be telling us do nothing, right? Like, oh, you're tired, you feel overwhelmed, you deserve it, do nothing, right? But and then sometimes we might take that as, oh my gosh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. So the mind is still going even though you're resting. So we really have to practice giving ourselves that space to work with ourselves. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more. But really just asking ourselves, practicing what do we need right now in this moment? If that's a little bit of breathing, if that's a little bit of movement, if that's a little extra rest, right? Just listening to ourselves and kind of like meeting ourselves in the middle, even though we're one person, but meeting ourselves in the middle of what needs to be done, compromising. I can do this and do a little bit of this, and just trying to practice balancing things out and taking one thing at a time. My notes. Okay, so yeah, for this morning, I was like, what would be supportive right now? What do I need? Like, I feel like I have so many things to do. So many things to do. I feel like I have so many deadlines. But and then I remember to breathe and know like, wow, I'm here, I'm alive, and that is a beautiful opportunity. Why am I going to beat myself up trying to get everything done? Why am I going to criticize myself for not getting enough done? You know, just pick a few things that need to get done, and if it gets done, great. It's just like a guideline, right? It doesn't mean that we have to get it all done. Of reminding ourselves that sometimes we have this amount of energy and sometimes we have this amount of energy, and that is okay. That is normal. So, like I said, knowing the body for myself, knowing how transitions affect me and knowing how to deal with that, remembering that sometimes the energy is up or down, and also knowing how my mind wanders off, like sometimes when I start yapping extra and it's unneeded. But knowing that, kind of like just providing myself a little structure, a little bit of direction of knowing, hey, that's happening. Okay, let me stop it right there and let me get back to what I'm doing. Okay. So that awareness is super important. And that awareness is kind of like I said before, it's like a compass. I've always said that. Our feelings, our emotions, and being aware of them, it kind of tells us where we need to go from there. Yeah. Um, yeah, so like I said, instead of asking, why am I like this, and criticizing myself for not doing enough, we can start asking this right here. Knowing this about myself, what would help me today, right? So that question, what would be supportive for me today? It doesn't mean there's going to be like that every day. So just kind of making the time to see and to find a solution to what is happening in that moment. Okay, so for example, I wrote here, like if we're tired, right, then we could adjust. My foot is falling asleep. We can adjust our pace, right? If we're distracted, we can give us like a way to keep track, like a timer, right? So, like, let's say business stuff, right? It's not easy to do business stuff, especially when you're learning. Um, it's like you just want to hurry up and get it over with, or you feel overwhelmed with the learning process and getting things done at a certain time. But maybe just giving yourself like a focused amount of time. So for me, that can be setting a timer and working just this amount of time. Just like when you want to move your body and at the same time you're tired and you don't feel like it, right? There's different kinds of movements that you could do. If you're not up to jumping, then there's other movements that you could do. You don't have to lift weights, you don't have to make it all heavy, right? And you could set a timer. That happened to me yesterday, as a matter of fact. I just felt like tired, my body, just everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I want to work out. Like it gets me excited to know, like, oh my gosh, I get to move my body. I have all my stuff here. But and then at the same time, I'm tired. So what did I do? I told myself, Melissa, it's okay. You don't have to be that high energy all the time. I gave myself, I said, okay, 10 minutes, I'm going to just move my body as I please. And I did that. And then after those 10 minutes, I was like, oh, well, maybe I could do a little bit more. So I did a little bit more. And then after that, I was like, maybe I could wait just for a few minutes. And I did. I think it was about 10-minute follow along workout I did. And first of all, I loved it. And second of all, I did my weights. And after that, I felt good. I felt good that I did it. And it wasn't like I made myself do it. Oh my gosh, I'm suffering. I did enjoy getting my movement in. So for me, the timer, that really works. Let me see, what else did I write here? Right, overwhelmed. If you're feeling overwhelmed, then you choose one thing and you start off with one thing. And restless, well, then we could move our body. Okay, so those were just some examples that I wrote down. How there's a solution for everything, and it's really just taking the time. And sometimes if you have to search things up because you're just not sure, that's why we have this beautiful internet right now that we're on. There's so much information out there, and it's really great when we could use that to our advantage. Okay, all right. So, okay, we spoke about that. We spoke about how the mind wanders because it's beautiful minds. I love it. It works for me so well, and I'm so grateful for it. But sometimes it could be unkind. I can be unkind to myself. And that's something that I have noticed. And now, a couple years now, I've been really working with that. And it takes time. It takes time to kind of like unlearn everything that you've learned over your whole life. So you have to give yourself grace, and just always be noticing what's happening, and really just be open about it, and having no shame. There's no need for it. Like, we've all been through certain things in our lives, but we're still here. So we got to celebrate that and celebrate ourselves. Okay. Okay, yeah, we spoke about the timer already. Yup. Stay focused on what we're doing. And I wanted to point out, yes, let's really be careful with the word should. Should have done it, should have more energy, should be further along. That's a big one. And I know I'm not the only one that does that. Oh, I should have done this. I should have known this. I should have went here. I should have did this. It's just like, really, no. Like, it already happened. Let it go. Let it go. Leave it alone. Bye-bye. And just move forward from wherever you are. Because right, I wrote it down. Does the thought actually help me move forward? No. Telling myself I should have is really just bringing that energy. It's not providing any light, It's really not. I'm trying to think about it. The only way it could provide light, I should have, is if you immediately notice that you did it, and then you turn it around and say, well, maybe I know not to do that again, and next time I could do this or plan this. Okay, great. But just not staying so focused on what should have been done. Like, we need to let go of that. And this is what I feel like I mentioned this before. Support doesn't always mean comfort. Maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But a lot of times, right, like we could think, support, right? And I think of that word and it makes me feel like, comfortable, at ease, right? So sometimes we could automatically just be like, we're tired. Oh, I don't want to do anything, so I'm not going to do anything, right? But and then later on, for me, I feel like, I should have done something. Should. Right? So I feel like knowing that something is good for me, knowing that movement is good for my body, that it does provide goodness, even though I don't feel like doing it, instead of just forgetting it altogether and be like, I'm supporting myself, I'm just not going to do anything, I'm just going to rest today. You could still find a way to do things. Like I said, find a solution and work with yourself. Okay? So, sometimes it could mean rest, and sometimes it could be, I don't want to do this, but I can do a little bit, right? We don't have to overexert ourselves. Setting a timer, seeing how you feel from there. Okay. And this is a big one, learning and practicing the difference, that I wanted to mention, right? Because, like I said, we could be listening to our body and taking it one way, and not doing anything with it, or we can listen to our body and find a way to work with our body. So we need to think about those little things. How can we turn everything into a win and celebrate those wins, and how little things, they count, right? So like 10 focus minutes, that counts. One drawer to declutter, that is also one of the things that I'm going through right now, trying to create more space in my environment, getting rid of the stuff that I'm not using, and just having more of a cozy feeling when I get back home. So decluttering is a big thing for me because it's like sometimes I do feel like overwhelmed with how and where and if I only had and this, but and then I have to remind myself I have to work with what I have now, not invite more stress to myself by not having something or wanting something, right? Or wishing for something. Let's work with what we have right now, staying in gratitude for what we have right now, and moving forward from there. So one drawer at a time, that counts. A short walk, that counts as movement. When this comes down to your business, or life things that need to get done, sending one email, right? Reading, I have a lot of messages I still need to catch up with. So I have to remind myself I don't have to go through all those messages at once, but maybe just dedicating 10 minutes here and there, I'm going to continue reading the messages. So doing part of something, it counts. We don't always have to finish everything. And that is one of my things as well. That I start doing something and it's like I keep going, I keep going, I keep going until I get it done. Or sometimes I don't start things because I feel like I need to finish and I just don't have time to finish it all at one time. So I just don't do it and I'm just delaying the process that needs to get done. So this small counts thing is very important. Okay. And I put down here, it doesn't have to be finished today for today's effort to matter. Because let's say I have a dresser with 5 drawers, right? If I do one every day for 5 days, it's going to be done, right? If I say, oh, I don't have time to do this, I think you get it. And I just keep saying, oh, when I have time, I don't have time. It's just never going to get done. 5 days later, if I would have just done one drawer at a time, it would have been done. And these are just simple things that sometimes we really need to be reminded of. I know I do. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one out there. All right. And I wrote this down and it rhymes, and I'm happy about that. Plans are tools, not rules. So plans, yes, like sometimes, when I say go with the flow, live in the moment, I realize that some people might think like, oh, go with the flow, be in the moment, like, oh, you have to plan for your future, you have to make plans. And honestly, I have been one of those people where I have to make plans and know things ahead of time. And I do know a lot of people that have plans, and they stick to their plans no matter what. And that's good for everybody and anybody that it serves. But I think that also being flexible is very important. It's very important to be flexible. Say that again. So plans are tools, they're not rules. The plan is there to support us, right? It needs to serve us, give us structure, but we also need to allow the flexibility. Okay. So I kind of wrote this down here as giving you a mini reset, right? How can we do that for ourselves in these moments where we're feeling overwhelmed or tired or stressed or whatever? Okay. When we feel like that, like just all over the place and we don't know what to do first, remember that we cannot control everything. And let's just pause and let's really just take that nice inhale and exhale, really, right? And then check in with yourself, right? What are you feeling? What do you actually need? What matters today? And how can you take the next step that's going to support you? And I feel like this is very important. What do you feel? What do you need? Looking at my notes, what matters today? And what next step will support us? So I think I've mentioned this in different parts And now, like, kind of putting it all together, inviting that what matters today is, I think, very important, because a lot of times we think about all the things that we need to do and we just spend time thinking about all the things we need to do, and we allow that to overwhelm us, and then we don't do any of it. Okay, so what matters today? There might be some things that we need to do and get done today, and there might be things that don't matter and don't need to get done today, and we don't need to be thinking about it. So it's really important to, for me, I love jotting it down, right? And deciding what is my next step today. Sometimes living just hour by hour, like, for real. Sometimes I need that. Okay, and wrapping it up here, wrapping it up. Okay, this is a long video. And sometimes I wrote here that wellness is not always about adding healthy habits. Like, a lot of times that's what we think, wellness, wellness. And we think about it as health and healthy habits and this and that. But sometimes it's the simple things, of really just knowing ourselves, recognizing what we need, supporting ourselves from day to day. And remember that plans are great, but we don't always have to follow them down to the T. It doesn't need to be that way. Okay? We can allow ourselves, come on, guys, this is our life. This is our life. And in this body and in this mind and in this situation that we're in right now, where we're placed right now, is happening one time. So let's really, have some compassion for ourselves. And even just saying that, it makes me teary-eyed. It really does. Because I know how harsh I could be on myself sometimes. No matter how much I tell people to have compassion for themselves, is really a practice for me, in all honesty. So really, when we really just stop to think about this beautiful life, this beautiful opportunity that we have here to live, we're here. We're still here. Let's make the most of it. Let's be kind to ourselves. Let's really see what do we need, and let's really live for ourselves, because it's wonderful to have a family. It's wonderful to help other people. It's wonderful to give. I love it. I love giving. I love helping. I love sharing. But I also cannot get caught up in all of it and forget about me, because if I'm not taking care of myself, how can I give? How can I share? How can I do for others? How can I help anybody? So I do have realized that helping myself is not being selfish. It's not all about me, but helping myself is helping other people. So really having that compassion for self, really realizing what we need in the moment, taking that time to think about it, to feel it in our body, and then to move from there. It's really, really important. It's a big thing. It's a serious thing. So I'm going to leave it there because I yapped enough, going on 25 minutes. And I'm not editing because this is me and I want to share me. I want to share me the way I am. It's not about perfection. It's about my sharing myself. And hoping that somewhere out there I am helping somebody else along the way. So what I would like to do right now in this moment is to take a nice deep breath together. Okay. So maybe just to the little sound effects, a lot of sound effects that I do. And sit up nice and tall. And I'm going to close my eyes because I love doing that. And I'm going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose. letting the belly expand, holding it for a few seconds, and then releasing it through the nose. Allowing all the air out. Let's go for another one. Hold. And exhale through the nose. And if you need to exhale through the mouth and that feels better for you, you can do that. Let's try to go for one more. And each time, see, you know, when you practice your breathing, if you can stretch that breath out. Let's go one more. Hold it. And exhale. All right, that was not planned, my little breathing thing, but I felt that I needed it in the moment and wanted to share. So I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. I don't know who's going to watch this at 26 minutes. Who knows? Doesn't matter. I put it out there. I'm sharing. I'm loving. I'm caring. And I'm sending all of that out to you. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. I hope everything goes your way in a way that serves you best. Peace, love, and light.